The NFL trade deadline is fast approaching, and if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, there's no shortage of opinions flying around about what the team should do next. Whether it's beefing up the defense, giving Josh Allen more weapons, or finally shoring up special teams, everyone's got a take. And today, we're diving deep into it. This is all about the 5 most realistic and impactful trade targets the Bills could pursue, plus the 2 that should top their priority list. Let's get into it. First name on the board, Budda Baker. If there's one guy you feel when you watch a game, even if you're just catching the TV broadcast, it's this guy. He's not just a safety, he's a game changer. Fast, physical, and instinctive, Baker brings the kind of presence that transforms a secondary. Now, whether the Arizona Cardinals are willing to let him go is another story. But let's be honest, they're sitting at 2 victories and 5 defeats. The rest of the division is cruising, and the chances of them making a run are slim to none. At some point, teams like that have to decide if it's time to sell. If the Cards are being honest with themselves, maybe they listen to offers. And if I'm the Bills front office, I'm on the phone yesterday. Next up, Quandre Diggs, veteran safety, 32 years old, 1-year deal. This is the kind of move that makes sense if you're trying to patch a hole without mortgaging your future. With the injuries piling up in the secondary, someone like Diggs could step in and bring immediate stability. He's savvy, he's dependable, and he knows how to handle high-pressure situations. It's not the flashiest move, but it's the kind of addition that could steady the ship heading into the colder months of the season. But let's talk offense, because while everyone loves to debate the defense, the reality is the offense has its own issues, especially when it comes to facing man coverage. Enter Chris Olave. If the Bills are serious about making noise in the playoffs, this is the kind of weapon you go get. Olave is a vertical threat, a crisp route runner, and he's young. He beats man coverage with precision, and that's something this Bills offense is sorely lacking. Yes, he cost a decent amount of capital, and yes, long-term he'd be expensive to keep, but you'd have him locked in for this season and the next. Sometimes you got to make a bold move if you want bold results, and Olave fits that mold. Now, if Olave's price tag is too steep, there's another Saints receiver who could be just as valuable and possibly more versatile. That's Rashid Shaheed. He's not as polished a route runner, but the explosiveness is there. He stretches the field, and on top of that, he gives you real value as a return specialist. Punt returns, kick returns, you name it. That's a huge bonus for a team that hasn't exactly been dominant in special teams. Plus, he wouldn't cost you as much as Olave in a trade. That's a win-win situation if you ask me. And to round out the top 5, Demario Davis. Yes, he's 36. Yes, he's not the guy you want covering Travis Kelce one-on-one in space. But if you're talking about stopping the run, playing downhill, and bringing leadership to your linebacker room, this guy checks all the boxes. The Bills have struggled to control the line of scrimmage against physical, run-heavy teams. Think Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. Think Kansas City when they shift into smash-mouth mode. Davis brings the kind of toughness and experience that helps in those battles. Is it likely the Bills make this move? Probably not. But if you're thinking about January football and cold weather playoff games, it makes a lot of sense. Now, realistically speaking, I don't think Buffalo ends up with Budda Baker. I don't think they get Diggs. Demario Davis probably stays put. But the wide receiver market, that's where I see real traction. Because right now, this team has a serious problem dealing with man coverage, and teams aren't respecting their vertical threats. They're daring the Bills to beat them over the top, and Buffalo can't make them pay. That's a massive issue. And you're not fixing every hole on defense at this stage. But you can get more explosive on offense, and that might be your best chance at helping both sides of the ball. Look, it's not that the defense doesn't need help. They do. But they're also set to get some reinforcements. You got key players like Ian Joby and Hoy Harris on their way back. You might see Taylor Rapp swapped out for Jordan Poyer. And of course, Matt Milano is expected to return at some point. There's a roadmap on defense to get healthier and stronger. But on offense, you're at full strength, and you're still struggling to break down coverage schemes that playoff-level defenses will throw at you. That's the red flag. So, if you're asking for my top 2 priorities, give me one of the Saints receivers. Olave if you want to swing big Shaheed if you're playing smart, and Buda Baker as the dream pick on defense. That's the ideal combo to elevate both sides of the ball. Now, shifting gears for a second, let's talk about this A.J. Brown speculation. The idea of pairing him with Josh Allen is thrilling, right? But let's come back to earth. The contract structure makes a trade almost impossible. If the Eagles were to move him, it would crush them with over $16 million in dead cap this year and more than $43 million next year. That's not just unlikely. That's fantasy football stuff. It's not happening. And even if it somehow did, the last place any Bills fan wants to see him land is New England. Patriots have a cap space. They have the need. They have the draft capital. That's the nightmare scenario. But again, let's not overreact to every blip in Philly. The Eagles start slow almost every year. People question Jalen Hurts, the locker room vibes, the coaching, and then they go on a tear. This feels like just another chapter in that story. Back to the Bills. This trade deadline is about making smart, targeted improvements. And if Brandon Beane is going to pull the trigger, he needs to do it with the understanding that this roster is right on the edge. There's a narrow window to compete while you still have Josh Allen playing at an MVP level. But the support system around him, it's been shaky. And some of that comes down to roster-building decisions that haven't panned out. You look at this team right now and realize the 2024 draft class just isn't delivering. Keon Coleman hasn't turned into the impact wide receiver this offense needs. Cole Bishop is still learning on the fly. Dwayne Carter is hurt. Ray Davis has barely seen the field. That's supposed to be your foundational group for the future, and so far, it hasn't moved the needle. It's not panic time, but it's definitely reason for concern. And when we talk about Brandon Beane, the conversation gets real. This is a GM who nailed the quarterback pick. Josh Allen is one of the best in the league, and Beane deserves credit for orchestrating those trades to get him. But since then, the big swings have blown up. You hand Von Miller a massive contract. He tears his ACL 10 games in. Tre'Davious White resets the market at corner. Hasn't been healthy since. Matt Milano gets paid. Now he's out. And let's not even get started on Stefon Diggs. You sign him to a 4-year, $96 million deal, and he never plays a snap on that contract. That's a problem. Let's keep it going, because the more you look at where the Bills stand right now, the clearer it becomes this isn't just a talent issue. It's also about identity, especially on offense. There's this lingering sense that they've drifted away from what made them dangerous. Last year, everyone talked about the reset, a transition phase saying goodbye to some older core pieces, absorbing dead money from the Diggs situation, and trying to retool on the fly. And somehow, they still managed to grab the number 2 seed in the AFC and made it to the championship game. That should have been the year they regressed, but they overachieved. Now, it's starting to feel like maybe this is the year the reset truly hits. Injuries haven't helped. But what stands out more than anything is that the 2024 rookie class, the one that was supposed to represent the next core, just hasn't stepped up. Keon Coleman was drafted to be that next breakout weapon, a guy who could eventually take on the kind of role Diggs held. But so far, he's not making that level of impact. Then you've got Cole Bishop, who's being thrown into the fire and learning in real time. Dwayne Carter, injured. Ray Davis, barely involved in the offense. This isn't about patience, it's about production. And right now, that group isn't giving you what you need. If just one of those players had made a real leap, maybe we're having a different conversation. But with all 4 falling short of expectations, the roster feels thin in exactly the areas it needed to grow. That brings us to Brandon Beane again. There's been talk that he's been riding the success of the Josh Allen pick for years. And while that may sound harsh, it's not completely unfair. Beane's hit on some great late-round picks. He's made solid free agent additions. But the biggest swings he's taken, the ones designed to give Allen the star power to win it all, have largely gone sideways. Von Miller was supposed to be the closer, the veteran pass rusher who tips the scale in huge games. Instead, it's been injuries and inconsistency. Tre'Davious White was locked down to be the face of his secondary, and injuries have robbed him of that. Matt Milano, same story. Great player, paid accordingly, but constantly unavailable. And then there's Diggs, who wanted out and got out, right before his extension even began. That's not just a bad break. That's a major blow to team-building efforts. You don't just lose production, you lose stability, continuity, leadership. What makes it worse is that these weren't depth pieces or experimental signings. These are your guys, your foundational contracts. And when foundational pieces fall apart, the trickle-down effect hits every level of the team. It forces your depth to become starters. It puts pressure on rookies who aren't ready. It exposes coaching flaws. And most importantly, it wastes prime years of your franchise quarterback. So when fans get frustrated and point to the GM, it's not just about draft busts or one bad trade. It's about the ripple effects of a top-heavy roster that hasn't lived up to its billing because the pillars holding it up keep crumbling. Now let's talk about the offensive play calling, because this is where things get really murky. Joe Brady has had moments where the offense looks cohesive, physical, and dangerous. But they're moments, not trends. And you get the feeling that there's too much planning, not enough reacting. Instead of letting the game script unfold based on how defenses are playing, it seems like Brady enters each game with a checklist. Gotta get Keon Coleman going. Gotta work in a couple design plays for Kincaid. Gotta run that new motion set we worked on in practice. The problem is that only works when the defense cooperates. And defenses aren't cooperating. Take the last couple games before the bye week. Against New England, they were moving the ball well on the first drive. Then came a fumble. They had a flea flicker plan for a sudden change moment, which worked in terms of yards, but the drive stalled due to penalties and some predictable throws to Coleman. You're punting from the 42-yard line. The next drive starts with another forced throw to Coleman, and it turns into a fumble. At that point, you're no longer running the offense you want. You're chasing the game. The same thing happened against Atlanta. You open with a touchdown. Great start. But then you trade it for 2 punts while the Falcons score twice, and suddenly you're down 2 touchdowns. The script gets thrown out the window, and you go into panic mode. That's been the pattern, and it's killing them. And what's most frustrating is that the solution isn't that complicated. We've seen the Bills thrive when they go big, when they use their tight ends, run the ball with purpose, and stay two-dimensional. You don't need to abandon the run just because you're down 10 points. You don't need to go full spread offense with 3 wide receivers just because the defense is playing single high. There's a way to stay physical, stay balanced, and still score quickly. They just haven't committed to it. And part of that is on Joe Brady. He talks a lot about having only 8 possessions a game, like he's trying to fit everything into that limited window. But that mindset leads to bad football. You don't need to check boxes. You need to exploit matchups. The defense is telling you what's available. Take it. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In a surprising twist that has sent shockwaves through the NFL community, reports are swirling that the league has officially announced the cancellation of a much-anticipated matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the Buffalo Bills. While the reasons behind the decision remain murky, insiders hint that a mix of logistical challenges and unforeseen circumstances may have played a role, leaving fans and analysts alike scrambling for answers. The game, which had been eagerly awaited as a potential highlight of the season, was expected to showcase some of the league's rising stars and veteran leaders in a high-stakes clash. Social media exploded almost immediately after the announcement, with fans expressing everything from disbelief to frustration and speculation running wild about what might have led to this abrupt change. Some whispers suggest internal team conflicts, while others point toward potential stadium or travel issues, though no official details have been confirmed. Sports pundits are already weighing in, suggesting that the cancellation could have ripple effects on playoff projections and player morale. The Falcons, known for their dynamic offense, and the Bills, a team with a formidable defense, were both expected to put on a show that could redefine their seasons. The abrupt halt to this narrative has left many questioning how the league plans to adjust schedules and what this might mean for future matchups. Meanwhile, ticket holders and season pass subscribers are waiting anxiously for guidance from the NFL regarding refunds or rescheduling possibilities. Some fans have taken to creating online petitions, urging the league to find a way to salvage the matchup, highlighting just how significant this game was for the league's broader fan base. As rumors continue to circulate, one thing is certain. The cancellation of the Falcons versus Bills game has sparked one of the season's biggest controversies before it even began. Whether it's a one-off incident or a signal of deeper issues within the league, fans and analysts will be watching closely, hoping for clarity and perhaps a thrilling rematch down the line. Until then, the buzz and speculation are unlikely to die down anytime soon, keeping sports talk shows and online forums buzzing with theories and debate. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.